Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome back to Chaos TV's live coverage of the Insomnia50 online qualifier. It is day 2 out of 2, and indeed the grand finale between Dignitas UK and FTW Plextor. I'm Metis, joined by Spuddington, and we are live into the picks and bans for game number 2.
Indeed, and we're looking now to see if FTW can kind of pull themselves back together, because that previous game really didn't go in their favour. Dignitas taking early advantages in most of their lanes and snowballing them hard. I mean, I may have said those words before in relation to Dignitas against several of the teams they've been against in this tournament thus far, but it's true, so there you go. And I believe we also now have a sub in, don't we, Metas?
We do. Apparently, Dragon was required to study, which could also explain, Spud, why they kind of prematurely surrendered in that last game. It was not quite over, it was looking very one-sided, but he has to go study, so therefore Sevi is going to be coming in as a replacement. Now, I don't know a great deal about Sevi or FTW as a whole, actually, so to be completely honest here, Spud, they could switch things around. I'm not sure if Sevi is going to fit in the mid, or if maybe they're going to switch things up.
That is actually an interesting question, because I believe Sevi is their manager. Indeed, I'm actually looking at his profile right now. Solo Q Silver 3. So maybe they were rather lacking in alternatives at that point. That could be that could be problematic for them. So I don't know what they will do with him. As you say, it might well be advisable to take Sevi away from that mid lane, which tends to be a very influential role.
Yeah, if he is a Silver 3 and deserves to be there in terms of, it's not a lack of games or anything like that, then simply put, playing Silver 3 against a challenger mid laner like DX Alchemist, it's going to be a massacre. So if it's not a Smurf, or if it's indeed legitimately Silver 3, I would be surprised to see Sevi playing mid, because as you say, it's a very influential role. If the mid laner gets fed, more often than not, Spud, it can carry games, especially a player like the Ex-Alchemist.
Yeah, I mean, he's Diamond 1 in ranked 5s. But there is actually something to be said, though, in that there are a lot of silver players out there who actually have very good mechanics. And the thing about game sense and, being aware of what you need to be doing at the right time, that can be somewhat at least mitigated, if that is your weakness, by having a team that's kind of paying attention and trying to make sure that they, keep an eye on what you are up to and, give you that little edge there. But we'll see what actually happens. It may, of course, been the old client bug showing me the wrong ranked solo queue. That is also another option. But we do have some picks actually coming in, don't we?
That could be a thing, to be fair. It definitely could be a bug, and he's actually kind of the hidden OP mid laner here. But Kassadin first pick, and Jarvan plus Evelyn on the side of Dignitas UK. So going to be back over to For the Win Plextor now for their second and third picks. They got 15 seconds to do so. I'm just curious, with Varus not being banned out, if they're going to go for that AD carry. Looks likely here, Spud. As I said before, Kron's Varus is exceptionally good.
Indeed he is, and if you get a Varus AD carry, that actually works quite well with Kassadin, because you pick that Kassadin, you get that mid lane roaming potential, but if you're having your mid lane roaming a lot, you generally want to have some kind of defensive setup so that if Kassadin wants to leave that area, he can then kind of be backed up and you can fight like a 2-on-3 more efficiently. So if you have Lulu and you have Varus, you have a lot of crowd control and a lot of ability to just kite people away if they are getting aggressive towards you. That could be, what the mindset there is for FTW, but regardless, they have got those picks locked in. They are going to be going up against Yarrow on Thresh, which is very, very scary, and Samwise on Ezreal, which I believe he's been running every game today, maybe, that I've seen.
Yeah, Samwise is a very good Ezreal player, and we saw last time around Yarrow landed some key death sentences onto Kronz's Caitlyn in lane and in team fights as well. So totally understandable while they go for that one. Impaler is renowned for his Jarvan in the fourth play. Last time around, Shag did take it away from him. So with it being open with that Kassadin first pick, Impaler's going to be running to one of his go-to champions. That is going to leave the Ex-Alchemist to pick his, what I would assume, mid laner, although they have Evelynn. Now, that's quite interesting. With Jarvan, you've got to assume Evelynn won't be in the jungle, or Jarvan could be played in mid or top. So this could be their top laner? It's a bit of a strange one.
It could be a solo lane Jarvan and a jungle Evelynn, with the intent that you would make Kassadin's life very, very difficult using Jarvan. So you would... I mean, he does a lot of AD, a lot of burst damage, which both are kind of Kassadin's weaknesses, and plus it's very front-loaded, and you silencing him halfway through his combo is very, very difficult. So if they choose to run that Jarvan solo lane, it's not beyond the bounds of possibility. Alternately, they could just run a solo lane Evelynn. It does work to a degree, but if they put that against Kassadin in the mid lane, strikes me that would be allowing for Kassadin to get at least a good amount of farm, and that is the kind of thing that really starts to hurt later on.
Interestingly, Spud, obviously you're casting off the stream, so you are a few moments behind me. It's going to be Swain again. So a DX Alchemist going for the Swain, which indicates that it could very well be the Jarvan at top and Impaler taking Evelynn in jungle, which would be surprising because Jarvan is a very good champion for Impaler, but maybe they're just trying to broaden their champion pool a tiny bit and throw a few spanners in the works. They've got that advantage, they have the buffer of that first game under the belt, and with the substitute coming in here for FTW, maybe they're just going to try and see how things go.
Yeah, take it easy and run a bit of a curveball there. Sevi is actually currently on the Kassadin though, so that would imply that he is going to be playing that mid lane, and the rest of the team will be just hanging on to their main roles. Kassadin is a champion which has a fairly simple play style early on, so play passive, don't die in your lane kind of thing. But the later on it gets, the more skill Kassadin kind of demands in terms of map awareness. So I don't know, maybe it'll be an interesting decision. Maybe it will work out for FTW. But regardless, guys, we will be going into a quick break while we wait for the delay timer to tick down and the game to load. So we will be right back. This will be a commercial break, and we'll see you after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are underway with Dignitas UK versus FTW. This is the second game of the best of three, a one-game advantage to Dignitas UK. We are now underway. Game is started, and it looks like Dignitas UK are A, standing on a ward, and B, heading towards an interesting situation with FTW.
They are, as you say, to the top of a ward, the Explorer Award, from the support player of Deathnear. So right now, FTW Plexor know exactly where Dig UK are. The question is, can they manage to exploit this weakness? Can they take this advantage home? Because Dignitas UK are still lurking around the shadows here. A couple of them recalling. Ward has been placed down importantly though from Yero. So if FTW come in now, they'll be spotted. But are Dignitas UK going to come out, Spud, and get themselves caught?
It's quite a messy situation, but I think they're alert to the possibility. They didn't have Samwise check it with Mystic Shot, and he could have done so, but he's checking other brushes. They smell that there could be something going on there. As it happens, though, Dignitas UK have just gotten complete vision control over that jungle. Shag is going to start off with his red buff and then move on to blue, but it's going to be a very predictable jungle path today.
It is, and I'm still a bit surprised that nothing happened there, that nobody actually got caught out of position. That being said, though, we've seen Dignitas do this plenty of times, hiding the tri-bush, going to try and make some plays right now, taking Flay first, knocking both these dual lanes backwards, and now Samwise is going into 1v1 against Kronz, who's doing a lot of damage. Both barriers have been popped off. Here comes Shang from the side, however. Who's going to pick up this first blood? It's going to be Kronz, and they should be able to get the second kill as well. Flash though from Yero, and the auto attack will pick up the pieces. So 1-for-1 trade, but that's an AD carry for a support picking up the kills, and the AD got first blood.
Yeah, that actually very much favors FTW, but what I would say is that was a decision that I feel would have worked. It was just that Thresh and Ezreal started hitting different people. You saw them kiting away and Yero chasing on down aggressively, whereas Samwise stayed to trade behind with Varus. Actually, Shag has been caught.
It's definitely not looking too good here as the Ex-Alchemist and Evelyn and Impala will be chasing after him. Impala's taking a little bit of damage from Dragon though, and will not be falling down. But that was pretty close right there from Nautilus, managing to escape though.
Yeah, Impala is now having to sit around and pot up though while he waits for his health to come back. And Jarvan is dropping really low.
Ignite was used, but it's not going to take down. But however, Nitrix is going to be so low at top lane. Does have a few health potions and that crystalline flask, so should be okay.
Yeah, it does strike me that Dignitas UK may have picked himself into a bit of a difficult situation here. Jarvan the Fourth is a champion that relies on bursting your enemy, and he's just not going to be able to do that against Shen. The faint spam and the slow grinding nature of Shen, plus when he's got that Sunfire cape, which he almost inevitably will build, it just feels like unless there is a ton of ganks that come in successfully, it's going to be nearly impossible to kill Insert, but they are going to go for it.
Yeah, Ignite was used from Jarvan. Instantly Shadow Dash comes away from Insert and does flash back to his tower as well. But that is going to be a successful gank, has to be said from Dignitas. They've managed to get rid of the flash, the top laner for Insert. However, Shag is looking to make some plays at top.
Yeah, he's hanging around, but Impala was mostly looking to get a good opportunity for Nitrix to push out the lane and then just go back. So Shag wasting his time a little bit there. He'll go back to farming that jungle. And in fairness, actually, this is something we haven't really commented on. The fact that there is a Nautilus in this game is quite uncommon these days.
It is. If you go back to Season 2, it was all about the Nautilus Maokai. And Nautilus has definitely fallen off in Season 3, or as a case now may be, you could say getting towards Season 4. It has been a while. What Nautilus does bring to the table though is a lot of CC, and he has very, very strong ganks, plus good teamfight presence in the latter stages. So CC definitely on the side here of FTW in those team fights, especially with the Chain of Corruptions from Kronz. As I said before, it's his main AD carry. He's extremely strong on this. So FTW doing a nice job. Also, a couple people asking in chat where Dragon is. He had to go study, so Sevi came in as a replacement. Thus far, doing pretty solid. 21 to 25 in mid.
Yeah, it's a little bit surprising, given that what we saw from the solo profiles. But actually, in bottom lane, there is an engagement coming in.
There is. Deathnear is taking a lot of damage. Death Sentence will not be landing. Impala wants to be chasing this one down. Eats Snake Knight for his troubles, however. Kronz with a piercing arrow. This is really precarious for Impala, who's going to go down from that last auto attack, giving Kronz the blue buff, which is certainly not something you want to do to a Varus, who loves the blue. And actually, that gank completely backfiring for Dig UK.
Yeah, it really, really did. And and now it looks like Shag is going to head towards the mid lane. He's picked up that blue buff, obviously, so he's going to be able to do something in that area. But maybe we were too quick to judge Sevi. But I was going to talk about the fact that it might just be that Swain really doesn't have that much at this stage of the game. In terms of like damage, he can maybe throw out Laserbird and the Decrepify in time, but he's not going to trade that well on damage, and until he's got his ultimate, he's not that big of a threat. Samwise taking a fair bit of damage in the bot lane, but he's not either going to be falling. But yeah, as you mentioned, he loves the blue and is going to be getting a lot of piercing arrows off.
Now this is pretty brutal for Samwise, who very nearly gets chunked down and killed, if not for the shield from the Dark Passage from Yarrow. Didn't have barrier up, but was playing that one close. Does, however, have to go back to spawn, and this is going to leave Kronz in a pretty good position. Already has 2 Doran's Blades plus that kill, so he has over 1.4 thousand gold to his back pocket, and will be picking up some items. In fact, no, he's staying in lane, so maybe you're going to stay in lane until he has enough for a BF sword.
Maybe. That would make a lot of sense. BF swords really do win lanes if you're an AD carry. They just give you... They just mean you win trades, basically. You trade damage with someone and you just come out so far ahead as a result of it. And the thing about winning a damage trade is that you can then use that to get yourself more time to sustain up. So comparing it to like a Vamp Scepter and a Doran's Blade pickup, it means you can just force the enemy away while you're getting that. Nitrix actually taking a lot of damage on top.
Yep, Shadow Dash will land on Nitrix, who doesn't have the Ignite up just about though. And we'll be fine. Actually going to go back to spawn, and it's interesting, we were talking about will he pick the BF sword up? Nope. He's gone for a 3rd Doran's Blade and a Vampiric Scepter, so going for sustain at bot.
That is certainly a build that will make him much more resilient. I mean, he will be so strong in an all-in situation because he's committed so hard to Doran's Blades. But it is going to cause him some problems. Even though he is probably going to build the Legolas build, which is, you know, Bloodthirster into the Last Whisper, he is going to have some issues with juggling item slots. He's actually going to be okay, I mean, in relative terms, just because of that build, though, because it never requires you to hold on to more than 2 items at a time.
Yeah, but I just do wonder, however, if Samwise is going to be able to claw his way back at the bot lane, because that blue buff definitely did a lot of damage in terms of CS difference, 36 to 50, in favour of Kronz, who has 2 kills to 1 death, whereas Ezreal has absolutely no kills. Mid lane, though, all hell is breaking loose. As Sevi is forced to back away. Here comes the Stand United from Shen, going back in again here. Impaler's doing so much damage, and the Shadow Dash actually misses from Insert. That would have been a guaranteed kill. Are they finally going to pick this one up? Yes, he will, with the Q. As the Vorpal Blade lands in, here comes Thresh from the side. Yarrow reacting very quickly. Shag gets caught from the death sentence, again living up to his name, and the Ex-Alchemist will pick up that kill. Here comes a box as well from Insert. Meanwhile, Deathnear has joined the fray. The Ex-Alchemist goes down. Can they get the second kill? Wild Growth goes up, and Yarrow will be falling as well. Really nice trade there from FTW.
Yeah, Samwise appears a little bit late to the party. Varus didn't appear at all, and actually going ham kind of again.
This would be a really good kill for Samwise because it's got red buff all over it, but not able to do so. Forced to flash away from Shen. So in doing so, getting too greedy, has to use that summoner spell.
That does give Nitrix a chance to push this tower though. Shen was going to return to top and came back to mid to look for that kill. Top tower will probably fall. Sevi heading up there, but I don't think he's going to get there in time. He may look to chase Nitrix down though, because he's not got a lot of mana here.
He certainly doesn't, but he is pretty beefy already in this game, so I don't think Kassadin can do a great deal, especially as Shag was slightly behind. But have a quick look at this, but they're going for a dragon. Impaler's taking a lot of damage. They're going to switch the aggro, and actually going to be picking this one up fairly comfortably.
Yeah, stylish little dragon take. Very nicely executed indeed. Samwise losing a little bit of CS on the tower, but easily worth it on XP and gold fronts. So that gives Dignitas, well, actually no, they're still behind just a little bit at the moment. So FTW honestly doing better than they did last game.
Yep, definitely the case. Bot lane has been pretty happy days thus far for Kronz, and that's why, you know, the main reason we're both questioning, why did they ban Varus the first game? Well, it's completely against Kronz. Plays such a good Varus. His pixel perfect chains of corruptions are going to make plays in team fights. They're going to make plays in the laning phase as well. And Samwise, I have to be saying, is he's just being outplayed in lane. There's no other way to call it.
Yeah, it really does feel that way. Samwise is getting pushed back. I mean, in fairness to him, Ezreal doesn't have a lot of answers to Varus because he is one of those AD carries that can harass from within the minions, and that is always and shall forever be anathema to Ezreal's playstyle. But he is doing a remarkably good job of executing that playstyle and just making sure that he's never giving Samwise any kind of let up. And actually a lot of it is also because of that level 1 fight, you remember?
Yeah, that's a very good point. That level 1 fight gave Varus the first blood, gave him the foundations to build upon, and you have to say that he's taken advantage and he's ran home with it. With Lulu having red buff on top of the Varus, who's just straight up ahead of Ezreal, that has gone from a difficult lane to an all-out brutal lane, which is one of the main factors as to why Impalas came down. Meanwhile, top lane actually, Cataclysm has been used from Nitrix, looking to pick up this kill with the Ignite. Looks like he's going to be able to do so. And that is going to be Nitrix just stamping his authority, plus that tower kill as well.
Yeah, nice bit of gold, and I'm surprised to see Jarvan pushing out or around Shen, because it's not even like he was ganked into oblivion there. I mean, Shen is at the same level, has the same gold, almost. If anything, probably more gold personally. You know, it just confuses me.
Yeah, mid lane Kassadin has gone down from DX Alchemist, and that was actually a gank that entirely backfired. Shag came up looking for that kill. Now Deathny is in all sorts of trouble. Chain of Corruption scores a goal that was in between Samwise and also Yeros, and that's just going to pretty much put them in such a bad position. Even though he's got a lot of damage, had the Chain of Corruptions landed, it could have been a completely different story. As a second kill goes down, both those dual laners have been taken out here in the Death Chamber. 1 for 3 trade globally thus far. Insert is very tanky, but he's been caught from a death sentence, pulled back in, and the Swain Snare as well. How much can he absorb? It should be enough. Jumping back in as well with the Q from Nautilus, the dredge line, but he will be falling to Thresh, who's got a scoreline of 4-1. So carry Thresh, good luck, Yero, taking your team into the latter stages of this game.
He's kind of like Edward in that respect, Yero. He's just such a kill, bloodthirsty support, I think is the official term. He really does take out a lot of people down. So it does seem like that. I mean, that fight was a long, drawn-out, messy one, and I have no idea what the final kill total was on it. So it was interesting to see it happen. And I think I also saw at one point, Thresh was on one side of the dragon pit, right? He threw his hook over, caught onto someone. He threw the lantern over. Impaler jumped on the lantern, went over the dragon wall, and then he pulled himself back across along with Impaler.
Yeah.
So I think he went both ways across the wall in one motion, which was a bit weird to see.
It kind of threw me off. I'm not going to lie about that. I was watching it, I was like, what the hell just happened? I should probably carry on with this team fight, but I'm pretty sure that you have the strangest looking Nautilus play I've seen in a long time in League of Legends. But it's interesting, isn't it, that you have so many hooks, so many CCs in this game. Bot lane now is not looking too good for Deathny, who's been caught out from Yero, and also Samwise will be flashing away. Did they have enough damage? Wild Growth has been popped off, and Samwise used his ultimate previously, so he's not going to be able to pick up the pieces. Nautilus is moving around from the side, however, but he's all by his lonesome. Kassadin's coming in too. Are they going to have enough mobility? No, I don't think so.
Definitely in a thematically appropriate situation for him. And we have Sevi actually finding Impaler. Impaler finding Sevi.
Yep, going to be running after with the red buff. Sevi's just not doing a great deal of damage, purely on the basis that his items and his farm are not too great thus far in this game. That being said though, Dark Passage comes through, and then it's going to be the ultimate flying in, the depth charge. Not going to do a great deal though. Kassadin's not that scary.
No, indeed. Well, Kassadin is one of those characters who does, you know, he revolves mostly around his late game, and Sevi hasn't been able to make that many big plays around the map. Usually you can rely on his mobility to get fed in the early game. His damage doesn't scale up till late.
Missed Chain of Corruptions again at bot lane. So I was singing Krone's praises before, but it went straight through Yero and Samwise Spud. And if you missed those ultimates, you were in such a bad position. So Samwise was having a brutal lane before, but he's completely caught back up.
Indeed he has, and now that will be the bottom tower falling, so overall the lane probably going in their favor. Dignitas starting to get control over the game here, I think. FTW were definitely ahead. DX Alchemist actually just stealing away that blue buff there. Shag finds that, and I don't think he even spotted him. Sevi going down.
Yeah, that Ignite and also the damage over time from Swain is going to be just about enough. And the blue buffed up DX Alchemist is a true terror in the mid lane. Going to be picking up their 3rd tower consecutively here, Dignitas UK. And it only seems like a few moments ago, Spud, when you were saying that Dig was still behind after picking up the Dragon. And yet here we go, fast forward a few minutes, now Insert's going on DX Alchemist. I'm not too sure they've got enough damage, and DX Alchemist may try and turn this one back round, because here comes Impaler from the side. Now looking to turn it around on this 2 versus 2. The Swain Snare will be landing, Insert will fly down, even with the feint up. And DX Alchemist is just so damn strong.
Very, very nice juggling of damage, and the slow burn style that Shen plays. Actually, Impaler is having to run.
He is. I'm not too sure if Nautilus wants this fight though, because the Ex-Alchemist was just a few meters away. They're now turning it around. Impaler's going to be chasing after Shag, and actually turns around prematurely, assuming that kill was his. Finally goes in, and actually Sevi's going super aggressive. The flash and Riftwalk combination, oh so strong. Now has to run away. How long is left on his Riftwalk cooldown? It's back up now. Riftwalks through the wall and will manage to get to safety.
Yeah, DX Alchemist not going to continue to chase that one, but that was interesting though. Again, Dignitas just making, I mean, a lot of plays all across the board there, but Sevi really acquitting himself pretty well there. Jumping in there, getting the kill, jumping out again with his life. So he is actually 1-3-1, 82 CS, which honestly, if we were reading the champion thing correct, and I checked it in the break pretty thoroughly, he's acquitting himself pretty darn well.
He's playing against a challenger level mid laner, and if he is Silver 3, the reason we don't know much about this mid laner, ladies and gents, if you're curious right now, in fact, the aforementioned Sevi is going ham on Alchemist alongside the Chain of Corruption, but look at how tanky Alchemist is. With the Ravenous Flock, he's constantly getting health back, actually turns it back around, does get that first kill, Cataclysm from the side, Stand United as well from Shen on Kron, so he's very tanky, and should be able to turn this one back round in favour of FTW Quackstore. Samwise, however, at the back lines, beautiful box utilised from Yero, and they are going to turn this one back round. Samwise has picked up a couple kills already in this engage, in fact just the one, pardon me, but was looking for his second and third. Nice dredge line from Nautilus. They're going to look to pick up the kill on Samwise now with the double buff of Krons, who flashes in. Barrier, however, was not calculated for. They underestimated Samwise, who does pick up that second kill and is now chasing after the Nautilus. His E is up in 5 seconds. Death Sentence lands again from Yero, a reoccurring theme in this game. But Deathnia not able to actually save hit the Shen, does pick up the kill on Ezreal, and now they're looking at Yero, who's very tanky and actually doing quite a lot of damage. May pick up the kill onto Shag, not able to do so. I need to catch a breath.
Just constant action everywhere. Really long drawn out fights there, and I just want to note how quick Samwise was at the very end of that little fight between him and Krons. That pixel perfect little jump, he avoided the piercing arrow, and it was really fun to watch that. But kind of going forgotten now, just because everyone has been so busy fighting, is Dragon. I mean, it's been up for a while, it's been warded on by both teams, I guess, but you can see how long that blue ward there has survived, in spite of the fact that there's a pink ward that could see it for a good minute.
It's almost like this team deathmatch mode from both these teams. They're like, screw the objectives, let's just go for kills. 26 kills at 19 minutes, more than a kill a minute, is pretty impressive by League of Legends standards, especially the kind of games that we watch, Spud. A lot of these games do turn into a bit of a farming frenzy for the first 10-15 minutes, but this has been anything but that, with both teams just flying out from the very get-go. And just swinging from the fences, so quite interesting. That being said though, you mentioned the Dragon, suddenly a flurry of wards come down, but that Oracles and Yero is going to take them all away.
Everyone suddenly remembered that Dragon is a thing and it exists. Nitro's actually trading off against Insert in the top lane, and I've still got to say, I'm remarkably impressed at how he's managing to win this lane, in spite of it, to my mind, being a really unfortunate matchup.
I think it's just the individual skill shining through, but here comes a depth charge from Nautilus. Will land on Nitrix dredge line as well. Does catch him and pull him back, but he doesn't have enough damage, and then meanwhile they're actually going to be engaging through mid, hitting the task. Nice chain of corruptions, get Samwise very low, but they're not able to jump on top of that and utilize their advantage because they do not have the sustained damage. And on top of that, they're very weary and very scared of the Ex-Alchemist, who's now picked up a needlessly large rod. So in ultimate form, in the Ravenous Flock, it's almost impossible to kill him unless an Ignite is put down from either Insert or Sevi.
Yeah, both, I mean, 3 Ignites actually on the team, and they will pop up fairly shortly. But the other thing about Swain right now is that he's going to be building a Zhonya's Hourglass soon. And that is going to make it even harder to get rid of him. He will just dive into the back line Zhonya's and keep spewing out damage with the Ravenous Flock. And that is just not something you want to have to deal with. He will heal himself back up. You can't even ignite him while he's in Zhonya's. Or if you ignite him beforehand, he will simply be nullifying a lot of the damage while still healing for half amount. It's just a really, really scary combination. And he is now picking up that blue buff. We'll be able to head back into that mid lane. And looks like he is just going to join up with Impaler.
And even though Sevi did a pretty good job, just a solid job in mid, of not giving a lot of kills to the ex-Alchemist, or at least not kind of feeding in that way, he's still a long way behind in terms of items though, Spud. I mean, 22 minutes is coming up on the timer. Rod of Ages, Tear of the Goddess, he's not that scary, bursty Kassadin that people are terrified of playing against. He's going to jump in, he's going to do a fair chunk of damage, but then he's instantly going to die afterwards. So, you know, you compare the ex-Alchemist, you know, to Sevi in this game, and there's just really no comparison. The ex-Alchemist can probably 1 versus 3 at this point.
Indeed, he can, and we may actually see that soon. It does look like Dignitas are converging on this top lane. Impaler is there, and they may want to go on the dive.
Oh, they do, and it's not looking too good because both teams are starting to join the fray right now, but Shen is very low, so that's a pretty nice pickup. Piercing arrow comes through from Kronz, but that's pretty much just going to be the end of this engage.
Yeah, but remember, Shen still has his ultimate up. He can recall Impaler, Samwise. They're both low. Shag's taking a lot of damage, though.
Oh, that was a really poor play from Shag. He actually jumped in, and again the Chain of Corruptions misses from Kronz. That's the 3rd or 4th time I've ended up having to say this in this matchup, and that is going to spell the doom for this tower, and it's just a really unfortunate turn of events. Shag went in with a dredge line, a speculative one, to try and just pick up somebody, ended up going against the wall, dragging himself into the forefront of Dignitas UK, who obliged, death sentence landed, and it just crushed him down to pretty much no HP. From there on in, the tower was just going to fall. I think your mic's muted, bro.
Oh my lord. I'm just the worst today. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, so sorry for that, but Insert, they're taking quite a bit of damage. It looks like they're going to be fine.
They are thinking about the fight, but they're still doing damage to the mid tower, so they can afford to do this flirtatious kind of play, this teasing of just taking a few auto attacks to the tower, backing off, a few more auto attacks, and eventually they will whittle it down. But actually, maybe a desperation engage. They see Jarvan at the bot lane. Samwise is taking a lot of damage. However, that is the burst nowhere near enough from Sevi, and as I said, he jumps in and he dies. The ex-Alchemist, over half of his hit points, is just running rampant right through the middle. He's doing so much damage. He's got his triple kill. He's looking for his quadra and potentially his pentakill. Shag is going to be falling down to the hands of Alchemist, and now he has his sights on Kronz. Is Kronz going to be a scumbag, or will he allow this pentakill from Alchemist, who's going in with the Ravenous Flock? Barrier comes up, and there is the pentakill, ladies and gents. Beautiful play from the ex-Alchemist.
And that is just what Swain does when he's ahead. He just becomes this rolling death ball that runs through the back line. You can't kill him and you can't live with him either, so your only option is to move out. It's a really difficult situation when you have to deal with that kind of swing, because you saw they were trying to juggle the damage, but the longer you take to kill him, the more he heals for. But if you try and just straight up DPS race him, he's going to tank a lot of damage, and the rest of his team will kill you. It's just horrible to deal with that kind of thing. And now he's got the Zhonya's Hourglass. That is a big power spike.
Yeah, pentakill tends to do that. It's like, I just picked up a penta, insta-buy the Zhonya's Hourglass, still has a needlessly large rod to go for Rabadon's Death Cap afterwards. So if you thought he was impossible to play against before, now it's just got a hell of a lot harder, as you said before, Spud, because as soon as you think he's going to die, Zhonya's Hourglass, and he's still going to be doing a lot of damage in team fights. Honestly, at this stage of the game, 25 minutes, 10,000 gold lead, 6-1 towers in favor of Dig UK. I'm always the optimist when it comes to these games, but I can't see how Dig can lose from this point. Kassadin is so far behind.
It does seem far-fetched to believe at this point. DX Alchemist is terrifying right now. He's actually also going to hit level 16 very soon. And for the record, Swain has incredibly high base damage, especially on Ravenous Flock. That is another power spike on top of a power spike on top of a pentakill. That is just monstrosity, and they're gonna maybe go for the fight here.
Chain of Corruptions has landed. Do they want to fight this? I don't think so. The Alchemist is taking a fair chunk of damage there, but as we all know, he is going to get that back in a heartbeat. Cataclysm comes around the side from Nitrix, and that's going to be 2 quick fire kills on both of the carries there, both Swain and Ezreal picking one up apiece, and that's probably just going to transition itself into a free Baron. There is nothing that FTW can do to stop this.
Yeah, there is not indeed. DX Alchemist will just move on there. He can tank that pretty well. You know, Impaler might not be able to tank that so brilliantly because obviously Evelyn jungle quite squishy, but he's looking to 2v1 here. Just make sure nobody gets near that Baron. Shag is there, and they will get him down.
Yep, they do take down that mid laner. Now looking on Insert, he's very tanky, he's playing Shen, but he has 3 players just surrounding him, forced to flash away, as in chat there, Sebi is saying mercy, and is not going to be coming from Dignitas UK, who are actually looking to put FTW out their misery by picking up this Baron and then probably going down the mid lane. As you can see, Jobin doing that all by his lonesome. So this Baron is going to be falling. I think it's only a matter of time before this game's over.
R.I.P. in peace, says Nitrix, and I'm sure Twitch chat will love that. Nitrix himself is actually now pushing down the mid lane tower. He will be able to open that up for future inhibitor pushes quite quickly. Yeah, now we're on for 15k gold, and Swain is 13 for 2. So, outlooks, bad. I don't think FTW have very good odds of winning this game. Just saying.
Yeah, it's like the weather forecast outlook is bad with a chance of just decimation. And, you know, even if FTW engage in a 4 versus 5, as we saw before, remember, the Swain pentakill came off the back of an engage from FTW seeing Jarvan bot lane. That was a 4 versus 5 pentakill. So, Baron buff on top of that. I said before I thought Swain could 1v3, he kind of proved the point. Now I'm saying he could probably 1 versus 5. And I know that's a bold claim, but with the Zhonya's, with the Rabadons, and also Baron, if he plays that perfectly, honestly, Spud, I think he could pull it off.
I honestly believe you. Like, the situation could arise. If he were to literally just like line up the entirety of FTW and just line up, you know, Alchemist 1 versus 5 and dive right into the middle, probably not going to kill them all like that or anything, or survive the experience, but there are situations which could easily arise where he is able to kill the entire team solo, and that is really, really scary. And he can also definitely 1v5 for a short amount of time and just, you know, wait for his team to join up, which it looks like he intends to do.
Yeah, and again, knowing that how strong he is, they're allowing Jarvan to go top lane. Stan United comes out again, Chain of Corruptions doesn't land, and will whiff. The ex-Alchemist is on his hourglassing through. Shag, who's very tanky, will be instantly getting popped down. Now turning on Krons. Impaler going past the towers. Barry is not going to do anything against this onslaught. And the Invaders come out on top. The other kill as well, actually, was the 2 mid laners going head-to-head. Mid-inhib has been picked up with the death timers at 30 to 35 seconds, respectively. I think this has got the GG written all over it, Spud. It's going to be a 2-0 to Dignitas UK.
That is going to be the case. Can they kill Shen on the spawn pad? No, although if he had stood there, they probably would have done. So, yeah, that was a little bit closer, actually, in fairness, than the first game, where they had their mid laner, which was a strange one. I think maybe it was a team comp issue in the first game, as well as the fact that it snowballed against them. But Dignitas UK showing themselves to be probably one of the, if not the strongest UK teams, and definitely showing that they are honestly outplaying FTW there.
Yeah, and you know, Dignitas UK have been a constant fixture in our EUS Challenger Series. We actually have the next EUS Challenger Series coming up later this week for number 15. Now, Dignitas UK are facing, I believe, Copenhagen Wolves in the first round. That's a pretty brutal matching up, but off this performance, I think they've got a chance, you know, Spud. I mean, Copenhagen Wolves have won the last 7 back-to-back EUS Challenger Series, but Dignitas UK have looked a lot more comfortable these last few days.
Yeah, Dignitas UK are kind of on the ascent, and I've got to say Copenhagen Wolves, if anything, are probably on the descent. I think we saw them lose one of the first series we've seen in forever. Not lose the series, but they started to lose games
against Avalanche.
Like losing to Avalanche, yeah. So that's not something we've seen recently at all. Although I do believe 2 Challenger Series ago, the final actually did end up being... No, the Riot Turkey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ended up being Copenhagen Wolves versus Dignitas, I believe.
Yeah, they definitely have a bit of a rivalry, so it's going to be interesting to go into that next US Challenger Series and see how things play out. But, Spud, in terms of the Insomnia50 online qualifiers, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that is going to do it for us now.
Yes, indeed. That was all of the games. Dignitas UK come out on top. I believe, if I'm not wrong, it's at least the first two teams, the first and second place, that will hence get into Insomnia50 for free. I believe that's what the prize was anyway. Regardless, though, definitely Dignitas UK coming out on top. And I do just want to, do a little bit of plugging here, both for myself and for Metas and for the Challenger Series, which is coming up, because I want to just say, next one's looking pretty good. We've got some pretty darn good teams
yes.
in.
Just to give you an idea of the teams taking part in the next EUS Challenger Series, I'm going to bring up the brackets here and let you know. We got Copenhagen Wolves, Team Dignitas UK, SK Gaming, Meet Your Makers, TCM Gaming, Ninjas in Pajamas, Avalanche Prime, and finally Intellectual Playground. So apparently our producer is going to get them on screen for you. I'm pretty confident in saying this, but I think this is one of the best brackets we've ever had for the EUS Challenger Series. There are so many big teams taking part.
It really is, and it's going to be a tournament that will kind of show us quite a lot of how the teams that are going to qualify for the LCS are going to qualify for